There are so many different stock brokerage options in Canada, each of which has different advantages and reasons why you might want to use it. And so in this video, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown of the best stock trading apps in Canada based on what you are trying to accomplish. Now, bottom line up front, if you just came for the conclusion, this is my answer. If you're a total beginner, I think that Wealthsimple Trade is the best option. For the next category, people that are just looking to buy and hold long-term in Canadian dollars, I also think that Wealthsimple Trade is your best bet. However, if you're a beginner to intermediate investor that's looking to buy and hold for the long term in US dollars, then I think QUESTRADE is the way to go. And finally, if you're an advanced trader or a high frequency trader, or if you're looking to do things like trade options or trade on margin, as well as to get the best prices for trades in US dollars, then Interactive Brokers is the way to go, although it's not really user friendly, so it's not a great option for people that don't have a higher level of expertise. Now, if you want to see the detailed breakdown of the pros and cons of each platform, as well as my advice on how to optimize your stock trading setup in Canada, then stick around. All right, for starters, for each of these different stock brokerage options, you're going to be able to set up tax-free savings accounts, retirement savings accounts, and other kinds of registered accounts. But it's the exact same for each application, so there's no differentiating factor there. Also, each of the platforms that I'm going to delve into today has options for you to trade on your computer, but also on your phone through a mobile app. So that is consistent as well. All right, let's start off with Wealthsimple Trade, which, as you already know now, is my preferred option for beginner investors, but also for people just looking to buy and hold for the long term in Canadian dollars. Wealthsimple Trade, it's important to note, is distinct from Wealthsimple Invest, which is their robo-advisory. It's more of like a mutual fund versus Wealthsimple Trade, where you actually take control of your own portfolio and you pick and choose which investments you want to make. Let's start off by talking about the costs, because in my opinion, that is really the determining factor for all of these. Of course, the ease of use of the platform is definitely important, but really what it boils down to, mainly, at least for me, is saving money on trades. And when it comes to Wealthsimple Trade, there are $0 commissions for trading in Canadian dollars. And that's why I think it's the best option for Canadian dollars, although there's a couple of caveats. Now, Wealthsimple charges $0 to make trades in Canadian dollars, which is the major benefit of the platform. And you might be asking at this point, how do they make their money? Well, they make money off of their US dollar exchange rates, their crypto trading platform, and also something called payment for order flow, which is how they actually manage to keep those $0 trading commissions. But as I'll discuss in a second, if you set limit, buy, or sell orders, you should be able to use this platform with no issues, and you won't be taking any sort of financial hit at all when trading in Canadian dollars, which is the major benefit of the platform. Now, if you use Wealthsimple to invest in US listed stocks in US dollars, you're going to be charged a 1.5% foreign exchange rate on every single transaction that you make, buying or selling. Now, one thing I will note here on the cost section is that if you have a relatively large portfolio of over $100,000, then you can qualify for Wealthsimple Premium, where you can pay a $10 per month charge to have access to $0 commission fees on US dollar trades as well. But that's a pretty high bar, or a pretty high threshold for most people to meet, especially when they're just starting out. And also, since you have to pay $10 a month for that feature, it only really makes sense if you're going to be doing a lot more trading. Now, what are some of the pros and cons of using Wealthsimple? Well, in my opinion, it is the easiest to use. It has a really user-friendly mobile app that you can download in a few clicks, you can get set up, and you can get instant deposits to Wealthsimple directly from your Canadian bank account for up to tens of thousands of dollars. I recently did another video giving a detailed tutorial on how to actually use Wealthsimple Trade and walking through the number of features, but some of the bonus features that Wealthsimple Trade has is that you can buy fractional shares. So let's say that the share of a company is trading above what you can afford. Well, with Wealthsimple Trade, you can buy a fractional amount of that share, which is a nice feature. There's also ways that you can set up a dollar cost average strategy to buy in over time. There's basic options trading, and there's even crypto accounts if you're interested in doing that. When it comes to the cons of the Wealthsimple Trade application, the research and analysis that's available on the platform is basically non-existent, but in that case, you're getting what you pay for with $0 commissions. Another annoying thing about Wealthsimple is that there's a 15 15-minute delay on the prices for stocks and ETFs that are quoted in the app and what they're actually trading for at the market rate. Now, if you place a market buy or sell order, it's still going to be executed at whatever the going rate is, although your trade will be lower in the queue because of that payment for order flow business model that I talked about. But again, if you use limit orders to buy and sell stocks in Canadian dollars, you should have no problem. You'll be able to get stocks and ETFs for the exact price that you want and pay $0 for making those transactions, which is a huge benefit. And a couple other cons of Wealthsimple Trade are that yes, the US exchange rates are quite high because that's where they make a lot of their money, and you can't use this app if you are a non-resident of Canada. But overall, I still think that this is a great option for trading in Canadian dollars, especially for beginner or intermediate investors. And if you want to check out Wealthsimple Trade, I'm going to throw my link down below. All right, number 2 on the list is QUESTRADE, which, as you'll recall, is what I think is the best option for US dollar investing if you are a beginner to intermediate investor, and as long as you're not doing any high frequency amount of trading. Because when we look at the costs for QUESTRADE, it's $4.95 per trade, or 1 cent per share, whichever is higher. So if you're buying, let's say, 10 shares of a company, the cost will be $4.95 for that trade, regardless of the value of the stocks. But if you're buying more than 500 shares of a company, then you will pay 1 cent per stock, up to a maximum of $9.95. However, and this is one of the major bonuses of using QUESTRADE, is that they don't charge any commissions on buying ETFs in Canadian or US dollars. So if you make a purchase, if you invest in an ETF, then you won't be paying any commissions on that. And if you're a buy and hold investor that's investing in US dollars and you're just dollar cost averaging into USD ETFs over time, well, then you won't be paying any commission rates on that until maybe one day when you decide to sell, let's say 30 years from now when you're retiring. Now, there is a foreign exchange fee on QUESTRADE of 1.45%. However, in comparison to Wealthsimple, where you have to pay that fee every time you buy or sell a stock in US dollars, on QUESTRADE, you only have to pay it once when you transfer money from Canadian dollars to US dollars, and then from that point forward, you're just trading in US dollars. So you only have to pay the Forex fee one time. The pros of using QUESTRADE are the dollar cost average strategy with no fees to purchase ETFs is a major, major benefit. And then of course, the fact that you can hold accounts in US dollars, only have to pay the exchange fee once, and you don't have to pay it every time you make a trade is a major, major pro. There's also some more advanced options with QUESTRADE. So if you want to trade options or if you want to trade on margin, then you can do those things through the QUESTRADE platform. I would say it's more geared towards intermediate to even advanced investors. It's not necessarily a beginner platform, but it has a lot of great features that can cater to both. And the final pro of QUESTRADE is that it's definitely a step up from Wealthsimple in terms of the research and analysis tools that are available in the app or the platform. You can get basic research and reports on stocks, ETFs, and options contracts that are available. And then also, actually, one final point is that the customer service for QUESTRADE is great. Anytime I've ever had an issue, I've been able to contact them, no problem, and they help me out. Cons for QUESTRADE are, in my opinion, it's a little bit less easy to use than Wealthsimple, although it's still definitely doable even for beginner investors. It appears that the instant deposit amount on QUESTRADE only goes up to $3,500, which is a little bit less than what I can get on Wealthsimple if I want to make a transfer from my bank account. And the final con of this platform would be if you're someone that's looking to do high frequency trading, it's not necessarily the best option for you just because of the way that the commission structure is set up with $4.95 as the minimum amount per trade. And if you want to sign up for QUESTRADE today and also support the channel, I'm going to leave my link for that down below as well. All right, third on my list is TD Direct Invest. Now, there's a lot of big banks in Canada that also offer self-directed investment accounts. I'm not going to dig into every single one of them, but I will talk about TD Direct Invest and also the CIBC platform. So with TD Bank, if we look at the cost structure, it's $9.99 per trade in Canadian dollars or US dollars, depending on where you're making the transaction. And there's also a minimum balance fee where if you don't have at least $15,000 in your account, then you'll be charged $25 per quarter. The main pro of TD Direct Invest as compared to the other platforms is that I think it has the best research and analytics tools of any of these platforms. You can download extensive reports and quant analysis on any stock or ETF that you're looking for. And there's also a lot of good educational content on TD that helps you learn how to trade more advanced things like options and trading strategies. So really TD is a wealth of knowledge and information. It's also obviously integrated with the TD Bank. So if you have a TD account, it's pretty easy to transfer funds back and forth. You can do it very quickly. Aside from that, it has all of the other benefits of using QuestTrade, including being able to invest in Canadian dollars and US dollars, not having to pay a Forex fee every time you make a transaction, and a more advanced trading functionality, including options and margin, etc. The cons of the TD platform are obviously that it's very, very expensive, and you are paying for that additional research content, for the analysis, for the educational content, and you're paying to be associated with the TD brand. But to be honest, I'm not sure if it's actually worth the additional cost, especially given the quantity and quality of information that is available completely for free. All right, next on the list is CIBC Investor Edge. This is the second major bank that I'm going to look at, and it's a little bit of a lower price point than TD Direct Invest. The cost per trade is $6.95, so in between QuestTrade and TD. And CIBC also has that minimum balance amount where you have to pay $25 per quarter or $100 per year if you have below the threshold. In terms of the pros of CIBC Investor Edge, it's got a decent platform and decent research and analytics tools. But from what I can see, one of the main benefits is that they have very, very low foreign exchange rates, especially if you're moving high volume. For the cons of CIBC, it's kind of mid-tier between the high-end TD and then the lower-end cost options. But it's kind of the worst of both worlds in a sense, because you don't get as much research and analysis as you do with TD, but then you're paying a lot more per transaction than you get with the other platforms. All right, next up is QTrade, and this is another platform that I feel pretty meh about. In terms of the costs, trades are $8.75 per transaction unless you have over 150 transactions per quarter, which by the way is a lot. And if you reach that threshold, then you get a discount down to $6.95 per trade, which still isn't even actually that low. QTrade also has a $25 per month admin fee unless you have a balance over $25,000 that you maintain in your account. Now, one of the benefits when it comes to cost of this platform is that they offer 100 ETFs and mutual funds where you can trade commission-free. But in my opinion, the selection is really limited. And so the only real pro of this platform, in my opinion, compared to the other options out there, is if you're going to invest in one of the 100 ETFs or mutual funds that you can trade commission-free on the platform. Otherwise, I don't see any benefit. It's more expensive and not worth it. And the final stock brokerage that we're going to talk about today is, of course, Interactive Brokers, which I think is the best option for US dollar investing and for advanced investors, but it's definitely not a beginner-friendly platform. When it comes to the cost, there's two different pricing models. There's fixed price at 1 cent per share or a minimum of $1 per trade. And then there's tiered pricing based on how much volume you move, where you can get as low as 0.3 cents per share. And based on these fee structures, Interactive Brokers is the cheapest option out there for trading in US dollars. And also it's cheaper for trading in Canadian dollars than all of these platforms except for Wealthsimple. However, if you're going to be doing more advanced types of trading, then this is probably the best option for Canadian dollars as well. In terms of the pros, obviously it has those super low prices, and you can move high volume and high frequency transactions without getting hit with very high fees. If you're paying $9.99 per trade or even $5 per trade and you're doing a lot of trading, then that's really going to eat into your profits. And so Interactive Brokers solves that issue. You can also use this platform to invest in 33 different countries around the world, including many different foreign currencies. And when you compare that to, for example, Wealthsimple, where you can only invest in US or Canadian equities directly, you can hold ETFs that invest in global markets, but you can't directly invest in, for example, the Japanese stock exchange via Wealthsimple Trade. And then of course, Interactive Brokers has an array of different features, including margin trading, and they have the lowest rates for trading on margin if that's something you're interested in, and of course options as well. The main con of the platform, however, is that it's very complicated to use. Even user surveys from professionals, people that actually invest for a living, say that they don't like the platform, that it's not super user-friendly. And so really, Interactive Brokers is your best option if you're trying to save the maximum amount of money, especially on US dollar transactions, and if you're willing to take on the additional burden of having to learn how to use this complicated trading platform. But if you're more of a beginner or intermediate investor, and if you're just looking to buy and hold for the long term, it's probably not the best bet. So to wrap it all up, again, these are the different categories and the different platforms for trading stocks in Canada that I think are the best depending on what you are trying to do. Now, if you're looking to sign up for Wealthsimple Trade or for QUESTRADE, I'm gonna throw my links down below. And if you sign up with those links, you'll get a bonus and you'll support the channel as well for doing so. I do not have an affiliate link for Interactive Brokers, but if you're an advanced trader looking to maximize your savings, then go ahead and sign up for them. I'll leave just a general link to their website down below as well. Hopefully you found this video helpful and have yourself a great day.